All right, so this is about setting up an instructional leadership vision for your community. And so I created a professional learning site so I could house everything because I have people who don't know how to navigate the Google Drive as well. So I created some tools to help them. But in setting an instructional leadership vision, I wanted my team to be grounded in a theory of action, which focus on inclusive, rigorous, and culturally and linguistically sustaining practices and programming that serve the whole child. We did that work through teacher leadership and collaboration, cognitively demanding tasks, and social emotional learning and practices. My ILT, my instructional leadership team, was comprised of grade level chairs and instructional leaders who were coaches, and maybe they were facilitators. The instructional leadership team, their work was setting the norms and expectations for school-wide instructional practices, modeling lessons and promising practices, conducting peer observations and learning walks, and presenting workshops and professional development, which I'll show you in a minute. If someone serves as a grade level chair or an instructional coach, while we did that work in ILT, I'm going to show you that they facilitate the meeting from ILT and PD in the grade level team meetings. And at that grade level team meetings, what was meaningful to teachers? Looking at student work, looking at success criteria, being able to look at the curriculum and tasks that they were giving students and doing a deeper dive on that work. So that work would show up in our ILT agenda, which is right here. And so what I wanted to show you is our ILT worked the first week of school on backwards design process. Here's our overview. How do we incorporate UBD into our work? And we looked at the interim assessment that we're going to do 4 weeks from this date, and we started to do some backwards planning. And so we looked at a student work protocol for how we're going to look at formative assessments, and we make sure we norm that work. So this is the work that we did in the first couple of weeks because our IoT happened every 2 weeks. And then we also got into the work of using data inquiry the week of October 10th. Generally, what happened in IoT or PD then showed up in grade level team meetings, which I'm going to show you. In PD, we had our first PD and we did a data dive. So you saw how we had the instructional priorities created from data. We literally took all of our data on walls, and that's all we did was unpacked and said, what are the recommendations? I'm gonna see if I can make this a little bit bigger. What are the recommendations that are coming from the group on the work that we need to do? We talked about, science. We talked about mathematics and ELA. So you can see my team work together to come up with what those instructional priorities are. And then when we had PD, we talked about the student success process because that's super important. But look at October 1st. Our PD on backwards mapping, curriculum standards alignment, and 360 process for feedback, all of that started in our ILT back, a couple of weeks prior. So all of that work that we did as an ILT, kind of prepped and guided and coached my instructional leaders, my teacher leaders, my grade team chairs to be able to lead this work in professional development or in their grade level team meetings. So by the time a grade level chair got to creating a culture of growth mindset, or they were doing the backwards design process, I'd already coached them through it so that they could actually do and lead the work. I was there to coach and provide feedback, but they led the work. And then you also saw how we had the student looking at student work product. So again, what came up in professional development or something that came up in our ILT through really working with my teacher leaders and my instructional coaches around this work, help them to really galvanize the rest of the community. And this is what led to really strong practices across the community and great outcomes for our young people. Some of the things that I want to highlight are just knowing that if you look at just this screen, you probably have to pause it, looking at the key takeaways from our professional learning session, which is PLS, and what our teams were saying that we were going to do. This is what the teacher said they wanted to do in order to actually get better at the work. And they also had an opportunity to look at like videos that I had shared and created for them because I wanted